something which goes, or something which has specifically been prohibited by the Sharia, specific conditions that have been prohibited, is a time factor in the marriage. The husband says, I'll marry you for 3 months. What is this type of marriage called? Mutah, right? This is prohibited. In the Jahiliyyah times, there would be a type of temporary marriage, where a husband and a wife would get married, and both of them would know that the marriage would end after a certain period of time. If you put this condition, there is no marriage, this is zina. The Prophet ﷺ forbade this condition. And we still know some groups and sects that still believe in this. So they, to this day, they get married and they say the marriage is for, let's say, one night. I'll pay you $100. This is prostitution, really. And this is, they're trying to get out of it, and they say this is mut'ah. But the Sharia, it allowed mut'ah in the early days when it was, when everything was allowed, and then towards the end of the revelation of the Qur'an, the mut'ah marriage was completely prohibited. And Umar said, if I catch anyone doing mut'ah, I will punish him the punishment of fornication. It is now fornication. So this is one condition that the Sharia has specifically prohibited. A time factor. Another condition, number 2, that the Sharia has specifically prohibited is the condition of if you like, exchanging marriage partners. And this is not marriage partners, sorry, guardians. The father says to another father, I'll give you my daughter, and in return, you give me your daughter. Or a brother says to a brother, I'll give you my sister, and in return, you take my sister. This was a common practice of the Jahiliyyah as well. Okay? There is no mahar. That is the mahar. What is the mahar? I'll take your sister. And what is your mahar? I'll give you mine. This, again, is the essence of Jahiliyyah, and the Sharia has completely prohibited it. If this condition is given, then the marriage contract is null and void, and it counts as zina again. Once again, this means that there is no mahar. If a brother wants to marry another sister, and then later on the sister, or the brother of that wife wants to marry the sister of the first husband, no problem as long as there's mahars for each one. What is prohibited is that you make the girl the mahar. You substitute each other's daughters or each other's sisters, and that is your mahar. It is allowed, if there are 2 brothers and 2 sisters, that they marry each other. The one brother marries one sister, the other brother marries the other sister, as long as each marriage contract is separate, and each marriage contract has its own mahar. What is prohibited is that you make the woman the mahar. And you'll say, I give you my daughter if you give me mine. This was a common practice of those days, so the Sharia has prohibited this specific condition. The third condition which is specifically prohibited in the Sharia is the marriage that is done to make a woman halal for her first husband. When will this arise? After 3 divorces. A husband divorces his wife 3 times. Now you know that he cannot marry her again until she marries another husband. And then a divorce takes place, then the first husband can marry that wife again. So if a second person intervenes with the only purpose of trying to make this wife halal, he knows that he doesn't want to marry her. He's just marrying her so that she can become halal again. Then this marriage contract is null and void. And in the sight of Allah, he is doing fornication. And if she knows about it, she is also a fornicatress. And if he knows about it, the first husband, he too is sinful. And if this contract does take place, the wife does not become halal for her first husband. The wife does not become halal for her first husband, because they have done haram. The Prophet ﷺ said to the woman who wanted to remarry her first husband again, he said, no, until you marry him, the second husband, and you have intercourse with him, a marriage of want and desire, and not a marriage of convenience, not a marriage of trying to get out of it, a loophole marriage. Until a real marriage takes place. And then intercourse takes place in that second marriage, and then for some reason she becomes widowed, or for some legitimate reason he divorces her. Now if he has planned to divorce her from day one, the marriage in the sight of Allah is null and void. The Prophet ﷺ compared this person to a donkey that is given in loan for intercourse. This is what he compared him to. You know that if you have certain animals, if you have like a female camel and another person has a male camel, you're allowed to borrow the male camel so that you have children from the female camel, then give him back. So the Prophet ﷺ compared this person, he said, to a male donkey that does this, or whose owner does this with him. Okay, this is what he compared it. In another hadith he said, Allah's la'na is upon the one who does this marriage contract and the one for whom it is done, the first husband who knew about it. Allah's la'na is upon him. That is how severe it is. Now the one question